And then there were only two. We have our Cup finalists. They will play for the larger realistic version of this thing in the Stanley Cup final between the Lightning and Blackhawks. That begins on Wednesday. But right now, you have us. Welcome to a special edition of Pucknology After Dark. Those of you on the West Coast, it's not even dark yet. We are joined by the usual constituents, AJ Strong. Chris JWS will be with us shortly as he's currently searching for an apartment in the South Bay of the Bay Area. Our special guests are from BayAreaSportsGuy.com, Shalana Goldman. And if you're wondering what the heck that icon is next to Shalana, I think it's going in the same order, a very special guest, the one, the only, NHL Ties is with us.
Woohoo!
And if you couldn't tell, and actually you can't because I have my lower third on, we are all in ties. Hopefully we are not failing miserably.
I hope not.
Yes.
That remains to be judged at a later time in this broadcast.
Absolutely. So all of you, good evening. Hope you all had essentially a nice few days off to calm down from back-to-back epic Game 7 weekend. Although it wasn't as exciting as I thought it might turn out, but nonetheless, we will get into that a little bit later with the Cup final and all our predictions and such. However, we must say, if you want to be a part of the show, it's the hashtag Pucknology After Dark. You could tweet any of us at PuckGuy14, at AJ_Strong, at ChrisJWS, the main account at Pucknology. You could also tweet JAlexander46, tell him hi. I haven't seen him in a bit. You can also tweet at Shalana Goldman or at NHL Ties. There we go. We have all that. Since this is a little more on the Shark-centric side, we will touch on the Sharks first before we move on to all the fun stuff planned for the evening. Basically, nothing much going on at the moment. Somebody's taking pictures of me. This is scary.
That would be NHL Ties.
Yes.
Ooh. Uh-oh.
Get ready for screen grabs in a little bit.
Screen grabs and accuracy. Here, there you go. Is that a little bit better? If I had a mic, it would be like this. Oak method. Boom. So, as I'm starting to get suggestions on everything. So the Sharks, no new news after we heard the Peter DeBoer talk last week. AJ, you brought something up to my attention this afternoon when we were planning our show, that maybe Vancouver would be interested in trading their goaltender Eddie Lack, which is kind of funny because we probably need a goaltender. I haven't heard anything about
His name is Niemi.
Work.
No, actually, Kurz had a post today that basically addressed all of the FAs, UFA, RFA people that are available for the Sharks, and who he thought was going to stay, who he thought was going to go. And of course, Niemi was top of the list of UFAs and also top of his list for who he thinks is leaving. Now, I think we've all sort of had that belief that, yeah, Niemi has played his last game in Teal. However, why did they wait so long? You know, essentially, you're not going to get anything for him if there's he's going to walk. Now, it's being reported that Vancouver is looking to shop Lack because they're making way for Markstrom. Could be interesting to see how that plays out, but yeah, I'm a little upset that they couldn't figure out a way to get something for Niemi, but that's just me.
Well, there really wasn't anything out there for Niemi, and they really did try to shop him back at the beginning of March. There just really wasn't anything.
For picks?
It just wasn't there. I did see earlier as well that Vancouver is shopping Lack. I think they want like a second round pick for him. I think that was the last that I saw. The goalie market this summer is kind of interesting. There's a lot of guys that are going to be kind of floating out there. Do I think that the Sharks should maybe look at the Lack thing? Yeah. Do I think they will? No.
Yeah.
I think Miami's going to end up walking.
And we've already gotten a quick question on Twitter. If the Lightning win the Cup, will Nabby get a ring?
That's a possibility.
It's a great question, isn't it?
Excellent question.
Well, he's technically not part of the roster, so he would be traded. So he wouldn't get his name on the cup. He could get a ring. That's certainly up to the organization if they're going to do that, though. So that's a definite thoughts on that. So NHL Ties, good evening to you. I know you kind of follow the Sharks for a good chunk. Briefly, your thoughts on what in the world this team is doing.
We'll leave it at that.
Enough said.
We don't comment on hockey.
Yes.
Yes, we do, but we don't.
Right. All right. Well, and here's the next question. You guys kind of touched up on it with, with the trade. Do you still try to trade Nemo's rights? Edmonton.
If he's not trying, he's nuts. I mean, you get something, for Pete's sakes.
Right. We almost consider it like a wash because we basically got him for nothing.
I think we all would have preferred getting Hammer, but that's okay.
Well, yeah, but unfortunately that didn't happen. So with that, the Sharks talk is gone. Bye. All right.
I would say I haven't seen you guys since DeBoer was named, huh?
That's true.
Did you guys?
That's true. You haven't been on with us since. I think we both agreed on our last show, AJ, that we would just give him a chance before, The
rule of thumb seems to be half a season. You give him 40 games, see what happens. What are the changes? What are you seeing differently out of the Sharks that you didn't see when McClellan was running the show? Are they going to be a lot more stodgier on defense? But, it comes down to the fact of what are we going to see? What will the defense be come October? I can't see Hannon coming back. Dylan is somebody. Yeah, I know. A heartbreaker. I know. Dylan. Dylan's a FA. So there's Braun has his contract, his new contract kick in July 1st, where he's getting a hefty bump, almost 3 times what he made last season. So are we going to see 3 times the improvement on the ice? Because as we've talked about before, Braun had a hellacious first half of the season. And it started to come back towards the end. But if you're going to be making, 3.3 a year, you better be a top 4 guy and prove it. And then, of course, the other wild card that's FA is Matt Irwin, who is... he's like the old school Patrick Marleau on defense, where you just never know what you're going to get. You're going to get a run of 5, 6, 7 games where he looks like, Lidstrom, and then you're going to get a run of 5 or 6 games where he looked like he should be wearing a Barracuda sweater. So I can't wait for July 1st.
The reason that I had brought it up was because when I was at the Oppressor, I was seated next to Mark Purdy, and he asked, what was one of your biggest challenges when, since, within the 7 years since the Sharks had first, interviewed him for the head coaching position. And he referenced the goalie situation in New Jersey as being the most difficult thing that he had to kind of muddle through and figure with Brodeur. So kind of thinking, and this is thinking past, I'm pretty convinced that Niemi's going to walk. Who knows who they're going to have in there. But there's been so much goalie tension Just so many weird things over the past couple of seasons. I think if we're going to look at a positive, I mean, again, we won't know how DeBoer will, be behind the bench of the Sharks until a couple games in. But knowing that he has some experience, that the goalie thing doesn't go away the second that Niemi's gone, I think that's a positive. Having someone back there that's dealt with difficulties putting someone between the pipes regularly, finding and just, I don't know. I made that connection in my head and I'm not able to put it into words. I'm sorry, but that was.
Well, and how shocking was it to see Brodeur end up with an office position with St. Louis?
Right.
That was a little odd. It makes you wonder if the Sharks have plans to bring Nabby in as a coach, or make an offer to Hannon as some sort of office position like they did with Marchment.
Just no.
I thought about them offering something to Nabby kind of back when he first came back to San Jose. Whether that's actually in the works or not, I do not know. But I could see that happening. That wouldn't be totally out of left field.
Yeah. Well, and it's not like, he learned from one of the best in Strelo, so.
Yeah, it would be nice to see the idea would be to have him be a great goalie coach, but I'm just not sure if he'd be down with that right away. So, we got a tweet coming in from Ian Blogs Sharks. Ian, hello, good evening to you, sir. Dylan is an RFA, so thankfully for that, his options are.
Because he's only like 24 or 25, right? So at least he's still pretty young, especially for a defenseman.
Right. This would be essentially the real bridge contract for him. But Ian goes on to say that he's very likely he'll be back, but Irwin is very intriguing, and Irwin had an awful year, but of course he was paired with Hannon for most of that time, and he finally got better as the season progressed onward. So that one is an interesting one to see down the road.
You can see him matched up with Vlasic.
I actually didn't think that he was totally awful. I think you could tell that he was really putting work in, and during that stint, particularly in February when the Sharks were absolutely terrible, he was kind of one of the bright spots, and he really shot out the gate. I really thought that Irwin, proved that he was, belonged to stay on the team. I don't know if there have been talks about him staying yet, but I'm really hoping, and you could see him even get better, or at least maintain towards the end of this season. He was one of the bright spots even past February. So I'd like to see him back. There's just not a whole lot else going on that blue line.
Irwin looked timid for most of the season to us. He looked very, very timid. And it was only the last 15 or 20 games. I don't know if they tried to change his game or they tried to take him out of the offense first mentality, but he looked like he was between two minds for a lot of the season.
I would agree with that wholeheartedly. And I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that we've seen McClellan's proclivity towards veterans. And I think there was more than a few times where Irwin should have been on the ice instead of Hannon. And that was, if there's one thing you can kind of complain about with T-Mac as your coach behind the bench, is that he did have a proclivity to start vets over youth,
That may have been the Detroit upbringing.
That's true. That's a very good point. Very good point.
Then that might be something that we see that's different, with a new coach. I think you guys all heard, the clean slate press conference speech, and everybody's starting off with, everybody's got a clean slate.
Man, by the time he was talking on the press conference on KNBR with Tolbert and Ted Ramey with Puck Daddy or whatever, I'm surprised at this point that DeBoer didn't come out with just a shirt that just said clean slate on it.
He might
That was
have
clearly
a
the big talking point.
Right.
There's that, and rolling up his sleeves and getting back to work.
Oh yeah. How many times did he use that one? Let's roll up the sleeves.
That was that was a big one. It was one of those things where it was like we need to get you a polo dog. Seriously, he wants to roll up his sleeves so bad. But that also has to go into the fact I was very impressed with how candid he was when we spoke to him. He was very open about the fact that he was not. He still had a bad taste in his mouth from how things ended in New Jersey. He's trying to prove people wrong. That how the team performed was not all on him, and so I think that kind of went into it too. I think he's a little antsy. I think he's really ready to get back out there and be coaching hockey games. I think that was kind of part of it. But yeah, it was very, very much into the fact that he has very limited experience with the guys on this roster, and that so hopefully that continues and we don't see, either favoriting vets or maybe even going the other way and over favoring some of the younger guys that maybe shouldn't be getting as much ice in more season.
As the
You mean like not benching Mirko Mueller for half the season and wasting his entry level?
Yeah, right. I mean, that was the one thing that had scratched all of us. I think, especially
that was a Rathje moment. That was just a case of bringing up a guy too fast.
Very much so. All right, let's change subjects. We'll get the Sharks out of the way now.
Well, we're half an hour in. I think we need to address NHL ties.
I agree.
Let's get into it. There are questions that need to be answered. Go ahead, Eric. Lay it out there.
I'm going to let you two have at it first.
Well, okay, then definitely the question numero uno has to be, everybody wants to know, how did Drew Remenda become #Tie99?
She's going to scream and squee and probably own this for the rest of her life. It was largely Hannah.
Aww.
Really? Uh-oh. You know what?
He's gonna freak out.
Dude, Hannah just threw her dishes out the window.
Yeah, forget washing them. She's screaming right as we speak.
Last season, I believe we were sort of kicking around, it's just his consistency. Every game he may not have been first star, but you always considered him for top 3 stars. And I jokingly posted and showed our CEO, who is my wife, a tweet saying that I was going to call him the Wayne Gretzky of men's neckwear, and Hannah basically popped up with a couple of hashtags, and Tie99 just stuck from there. And those of you that may have seen a Sharks pregame show not too long afterwards also noticed that Brody called Drew the Wayne Gretzky of men's neckwear. So that's where it was born, and that's where it stuck. So Hannah.
And that's where
Hannah
started, right?
That's where the Tie99 started, yes.
Yeah, and then that just, kind of just opened up to everything, and which made the Twitter handle go. No. How the account started is completely different. How the Tie99 started, just Drew obviously was not on Twitter, although for a brief shining 8-week period of time during one summer he was.
And that was so much fun.
It was hysterical. But that was also a way to tag everything that he was in, so that his boys who are on Twitter could just, search for that hashtag and see everything, all the love and adoration and stuff about their dad.
Which, by the way, if they're watching, Davis and Donovan, good evening to you from, I'm assuming, the Paris of the Prairies.
Well, then it does segue into what NHL Ties just mentioned is, how did NHL Ties come to be? And as a brief follow-up, do you feel any threats from NHL Socks?
Well, Ms. Goldman will have the entire story of how we started.
I do have that.
Yeah.
Well,
you
bring
did.
it on. What? Either one of you.
Yeah.
Well,
You
bring
did.
it on. What? Either one of you. Go ahead.
I'll go for it.
Go for it.
I've no. It's all you. I'm tired of talking already.
Listen to him. He is a married man. He easily defers to the woman and says, "Go ahead, you talk."
Well, I started following you guys. I want to say maybe probably February, March-ish, and you guys started up in January, if I'm not mistaken, 2 seasons ago, if I'm getting
Uh,
this correct.
about a month off, but yeah, you're close.
Month that after some difficult start to the year and some difficult things in the family, hockey was the escape. Watching hockey, talking about it online was kind of the way to kind of push the demons away. And NHL Ties was kind of born out of just needing something silly, needing something fun, and it kind of grew and expanded. Now this is something I've kind of talked about this with you guys. You guys have said that you didn't think that it would grow to the size that it is now, but about when, because it started, mostly started with the Sharks guys. Randy and Drew were really involved. Brody's super into it. About what time did you guys kind of start to realize that it had really, really grown bigger than you thought it was going to? Or just
Um, it it sort of took off on a runaway train when a few of the national broadcasters picked up. Um, I don't want to say we've been regional, but and it's not fair to the regional guys to say to diminish their work, but we were largely sort of in the pockets of fan bases with certain teams and the people that worked for those broadcasts that interacted with us. When it sort of really super exploded is when I believe Bob McKenzie and Liam McHugh got into it one night. Yes, they were chirping each other, and it was hysterical. Because Bob steps in, obviously, as everybody knows, Bob steps in to do some NBCSN work on Wednesdays when he's on break from TSN. But the two of them got into it one night. It was hysterical, and the minute those guys retweet anything, you just watch the followers sort of flow in, like an avalanche, so to speak.
Right.
And what really sustains and keeps the growth and the fun going is the regional broadcasters that get into it. The Brodies and the Randys and the Brett Hedekins and the Jamie Bakers and even Curtis. Curtis getting into it last year, having Brody send vines and stuff of him trash talking us. The guys in Buffalo are fantastic. Brad May and Brian Duff are all over it. And I'll apologize if I forget anybody else, but we can literally walk through all of the teams, and I think maybe outside of a couple of teams, we have either radio, print, broadcast, or all three that are actively involved all the time with us.
That's impressive. And especially you definitely got major love up in Canada with Sportsnet, especially with Jeff Merrick.
Jeffrey Merrick.
Jeffrey Merrick. Oh, excuse me. I didn't know you guys were that close that you're using full names. Ooh.
And you see that man, Brody takes that stuff really seriously, man. He is on point.
He is not the only one, to be honest with you. I tell this story to just about everybody as our direct message inbox generally gets one or two, maybe three or four a season from some people that have significant amounts of broadcasting experience, and a few of them who have a few Stanley Cup rings amongst them, asking what the hell they have to do to get a good score from us, and what do they need to fix in their game to to beat their broadcast partner or so forth. It's mind-bogglingly hysterical is the only way I can put it.
That is fantastic because but there was an article that about midway through the season this year that touted the NHL Ties the telestrations and everything. Was that Puck Daddy or was that NHL? I think it was NHL.com, wasn't it?
No, Shalana did one of us on the Pink Puck last season, or was it earlier this season? I'm sorry, I kind of spaced, but we'd had a couple of smaller interviews with Taylor Schold, who works for Sportsnet as an associate producer, and did a longer piece with Shalana, and then Craig Custance from ESPN.com wrote a piece on us too.
Oh, that's what I must be thinking of, is the ESPN piece.
Definitely. Really quickly, because all of a sudden either Shalane is definitely having a staring contest with us, or we might lose her. I think we just lost her.
Yeah, so She must be on Comcast too, the way things are going. To be honest with you.
Are you sure? No. I think you guys might be on AOL.
That could be it. That could be, or you know what? Chris JWS is somewhere just near internet pipes, unplugging things, going.
Are you guys denial of servicing each other? Is that what this is?
That could be it.
You guys are not.
Whoa! What did I?
That was amazing. You missed the entire story. You're gonna have to go back and look.
She came in at the absolute worst time. Denying us services. Oh, that was priceless. Oh,
see, boy. I told you NHL Ties was married. We're used to denial of service. Hi-yo.
Boy. Wait, where's our sound effects?
I was gonna say, who's got the sound effects? Brody showed you where all the production quality was in Google Hangout. And
well, yeah,
that was it.
It wasn't. All of a sudden, next thing you know, we have a freaking insanity going on here. I gotta find that picture now. You guys talk while I find Bro Bra. There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, it's really quickly. There he is. There's Brody. There's our good friend.
That is in fact the Bro Dog.
Yes.
And he's wearing the infamous Easter tie. That tie is undefeated.
Wow.
Oh, he's going to be happy to know that, or I'm sure he probably already does know it.
Yes. And I think it comes no surprise. I think he has said that he is getting married this summer. He is trying so hard to get his tux or his suit to be like the absolute perfect.
Oh, he'll manage.
He wants, knowing him, he'd get very cool and be like, "My tux is fleek."
It's fetch.
Lord. It's fetch. Yes. It's so fetch. Well, I mean, we got the background on how Remenda came to be Tie 99, and I'm quite sure that every time that hashtag is used, Hannah just goes, "Ah!" So we have that. We've gotten the background on how at NHL Ties came to be. Now, can you tell us what is going on? Any details with the game-worn ties?
The charity auction. Yes, we are fast and furiously getting shipping information from some of the people that have already chimed in to say that they'll be donating, and we're going to send out some, we're calling them our charity auction kits, to them fairly soon, probably the end of this week, I think. And we'll start getting submissions. I could call them submissions. We'll start getting donations in from them probably in the next couple of weeks, and we'll continue on through this summer. Some of these guys whose teams are out already have sort of taken this as a time to back away from hockey, and as camps come in around August and September, we'll probably start seeing some more donations come in too. The flat-out amazing thing is we didn't want to go out hat in hand sort of begging people to donate to us, so we teased it and said, if anybody wants to be part of this, let us know. Anybody wants to donate, let us know. And I was flabbergasted with the amount of people that just chimed up and said, yes, we'll be part of it. So everything, all the proceeds that we make off of it are going to Hockey Fights Cancer. We wanted to do something fun for the fans and benefit a charity. Because we have a standing rule here is that we'll never see a dime out of anything we do for NHL Ties.
Which is very, very generous and very cool.
Very cool. It's just that it hits home for me that it's because my wife is a breast cancer survivor. So that's why I think it's fantastic.
You literally, and I know this is going to sound like a bad way to say this, but you can't throw a rock in any general direction without hitting somebody who's lost a family member or a friend or had somebody affected by cancer. So we recently, my aunt lost to pancreatic cancer not too long ago. So, and I know, just about everybody that we've talked to, either they're breast cancer survivors or they're survivors of lymphoma or one of these other cancers, or they unfortunately lost a family member to it. So, it just became an easy way for us to have some fun with the auction and be able to give money back. And since we're doing it, we intentionally did set it up to where it would be running during the Hockey Fights Cancer awareness that the NHL does. So the charity will run alongside with that, and maybe, hopefully, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Nice smile, Eric.
I just
get some of the NHL people involved in it.
It's a capture smiles. Like, okay. But yeah, that's a great thing, and that kind of stems off of what you guys do in October when it's Hockey Fights Cancer Month, the Naughty Cup playoffs, where and correct me if I'm wrong, it's when the guys are actually wearing the HFC tie, and that's where they really advance along the way, right?
Yeah, every team does a Hockey Fights Cancer theme night, and they break out all of the media personnel and people that work for the teams are, I don't know if they're strongly encouraged or what, but everybody does it just as a byproduct of the night. They'll wear that Hockey Fights Cancer tie or scarf for the ladies, and that's their night to that's when they do a lot of the auctions and sort of things in the arena.
Now, is there anybody that you're kind of betting on, if you're a betting man, that you think might get the highest bid? Like if you were to somehow procure a Don Cherry or Doc Emmerich or Pierre Maguire or something along those lines?
Well, I'll tell you now. I hinted at it. We have a Jeremy Roenick tie.
Ooh.
He's
already... I have to ask you though, is that tie gutless?
Oh.
And if you can
too soon?
You watch me right now, I'm going to turn around and walk away from that. We have a Dave Stubbs, who is a fantastic gentleman and a writer for the Montreal Gazette, and a famous bow tie wearer is going to donate one of his bow ties and get it signed by a few Montreal Canadiens players.
Ooh.
He's named three in particular. And I'm not going to bank on him until he says he can, until it's training camp and so forth.
Until the signatures are on it.
Until the signatures are on it, but the three in particular that he's promised, or he's going to try and get them to sign this bow tie, I believe that would be our winner.
I would imagine so, especially some of the names that are popping through my head. I'm going, yeah, that would pretty much do it.
Yeah, I believe even if just one of the three is on there, it would probably do it. If all three are on there, it was just amazing when he approached us with that. We didn't approach. That's what I was saying earlier. Is we sort of sent out the feelers and people came to us. And he was one that just sort of popped up and said, "Hey, here's what I'm going to do," and my wife and I just sort of sat here with our jaws wide open going, wow.
That is so cool. But do be on the look. I think we have it in our minds that no matter what happens, the top bid for the Brody Brazil tie will be probably from a username along the lines of like PG-14, somewhere in there. Especially if Brody goes the distance and donates the Easter tie, the undefeated Easter tie.
I wouldn't.
God.
Go ahead, Shalina. Go ahead.
No, I'm good. Good.
You,
I'm good.
you sure?
Yeah.
You
Totally
sure?
cool.
All right.
The other really cool one for us was Ralph Strangis, who recently stepped away from doing Dallas Stars broadcasts. Just popped up and said, "Hey, I kind of don't need ties." So
Kind of done with the tagging.
kind of done with this bit for a while. So we're going to get around a half a dozen just from him.
Nice.
Well, I'll tell you right now, if
Strangis is awesome too.
Puck Guy may be at the top of the list for the Brody Brazil offering, but I'm telling you right now, I think I might be nudging and elbowing some people and hip checking some others out of the way to get the tie 99 tie.
Huh? Yeah, we should probably ask him, huh?
That might be nice. The whole thing is, what it's going to end up is it's going to end up being a and because Remenda, because what Remenda will do is he's so damn nice that he'll wait for the auction winner, and then of course he'll sign the inside of the tie for the auction winner, and it's going to end up, and if that's the case, it's going to end up being like between me and Hannah. It's just going to keep going and going and going up.
Oh, I would be surprised if Brody didn't jump in there too.
Oh, that's true, Brody.
Oh, come on, Brody. Drew's giving you enough ties already. Come on.
Hey, but you know what? Brody has the key to everything, and that is Drew Remenda's iron. So.
Infamous German iron.
Yes. Yeah, he already has like the Ferrari of irons. He's fine.
He could be content.
So it breaks down every 3 months and costs $50,000 a repair.
Hey, where's my sounder?
Hi-yo.
They give me a thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right, we shall move along here, because it's now time for. There we go. Now my theme music goes.
I think mine was better, but go ahead.
It's the Stanley Cup Final, featuring the Western Conference champion Chicago Blackhawks and the Tampa Bay Lightning. Oh, I timed that right. So perfect. Yes! Okay. Sorry.
Hit the post in radio parlance.
My goodness!
Yeah, hit the post.
Hit the post with the shot!
Not in Doc Emmerich land, in Radio land. You hit
Yeah,
the
please.
post.
Please, let's not go there.
Break out Dave Michigan.
Oh, you know what? Hold on. Before we go any further with the picks, there is one thing I've been dying to ask Puck Guy. He clearly has the telestrator, or Puck Guy, I'm sorry, NHL ties. He clearly has the telestrator and is able to get the screenshots of everybody and whatnot. So a couple things. Who has, for the most part, I'm not saying like there was one time they killed it, but body of work. Who kills it in the tie department on average, and who is the guy who needs to step up their game the most?
I don't want to pile on. I really don't want to pile on. Bruce Boudreau has really got to do something about his ties.
Boudreau?
I feel unbelievably bad about saying that because I really feel like we're piling on here. To your comment, Eric, the Burke family and us have come to a mutual agreement of impasse. We will accept that their father wears business scarves. And we'll just leave it at that.
Oh.
As far as the best overall body of work, we're talking. There actually are a number of guys across different broadcasts. You were very lucky in San Jose to have some of the best. Bless his heart, Jamie Baker really is trying to pick up his game. And for the record, he is also one of the people that inspired the Game Worn Tie auction and has been instrumental in helping us so far too. Him and Brian Duff, who is
Buffalo
studio host in Buffalo.
Now, and I know that it's small sample size, but when I asked that question for best overall body of work, best and worst, I honestly, like I said, I'm blaming this on small sample size. I figured that Kyle McLaren would have owned worst by far, but like I said, small sample size.
Very small sample.
Yeah.
Very small.
Kubro, yeah. Curtis Brown, yeah. I tell you the biggest up and comer, the single biggest up and comer this season is Ryan Bolding, who runs Avalanche Media. He is the one who drops Eldridge knots. He drops bow ties. He's done the Trinity. He puts
work in.
Oh yeah.
He puts work in. Impressive. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, he literally spent 45 minutes one night learning how to do an Eldritch before one of the games, just so he could do it.
Oh, Brody Brazil, you're on the clock.
Oh, boy.
And unlike the guy who does the baseball, he's part of the ESPN baseball crew, which we don't watch baseball here, so I don't remember his name. But we constantly get pictures of him because he wears Eldridge and Trinities. I want to say it's Dallas something.
Dallas Braden, the former Athletic.
Yeah, he'll wear an Eldridge knot that looks like he spent 2 minutes in front of the mirror doing it, whereas Ryan goes and lands that thing, and they're spectacular, and they're real. So.
Oh, I think we all know the reference.
I'm sorry, we went a little PG-13 there.
It's okay.
Oh boy. All right, let me make sure now. Any more? Are we good?
I swear to God, I thought I had one more question, but no, I think we've covered it all. It's like, okay, we have the origin of the account, we have the origin of Tie 99, we've discussed the Hockey Fights Cancer. Yeah. You know what? Go ahead, do your picks, and then before we get, I'll be honest with you, I'm surprised we haven't seen more tweets, but I don't know if you've checked the Google chat window for what's going on. I've heard I've received a couple tweets from people saying, hey, how come there's nothing happening from Google Chat? But honestly, when I put this out there, I was surprised that we didn't get a lot more questions for NHL Ties. If NHL Ties is so inclined, maybe we can get them back on around either the July 1st after Free Agent Frenzy or as a season preview for the Sharks going in. Obviously, we'd like to have you back on to promote the auction as soon as it goes on. But I'm a little surprised. Yeah, I'm a little surprised we didn't get more questions. But as you're doing your Stanley Cup Finals preview, I'm sure that another question will pop into my mind for NHL Tie.
Of course. All right, we'll cue up the band. We'll go with a different theme, and this one, if you're a longtime hockey fan, when ESPN actually gave a damn about hockey, you'll kind of remember this one. But it is time to talk about the Stanley Cup Final, featuring the Chicago Blackhawks, the Western Conference champs, against the Tampa Bay Lightning, going for their second cup in 11 seasons. Oh, I timed that right perfectly, too. That is awesome. All right.
It's easy to time it right when you're the one controlling the volume in the playback.
Well, just trying to hit the right part of the music, that's all. All right, so Hawks and Lightning. We will take a quick dive into how the heck these guys got here in the first place. So for Chicago, they were 102 points. They finished third in the Central, and Shalana just all of a sudden went away.
Apparently, she clearly does not give a shit about the Stanley Cup final. Go ahead.
Obviously. The Hawks, went through Predators in 6 games. Definitely had an easy time in the second round against Minnesota, which was surprising. I thought Minnesota would have given them more of a run. In the Western Final, of course, they had a heck of a time with Anaheim. They won in Game 7, surprisingly dominating Game 7. Anaheim really didn't have a chance. They tried to make it a game late on Saturday night, but never did make it. Basically, these guys are overtime beaters. These guys have gone into multiple overtimes a number of times, even in the triple overtime. In fact, what was it? Game 2 was the longest game in Hawks history. Thank you, Shalane. Appreciate it. And they're going to go for their 3rd cup in 6 years with a coach that almost was named head coach in San Jose. Let's just quickly go around and talk about the Hawks. Shalane, we'll start with you. Don't expose your pick, but your thoughts on Chicago.
Well, it was really interesting. Coming into the series with Anaheim, I really thought that they were going to dominate the whole way, and then they didn't. And they really had to pull it out in that Game 7. Taves had a great game. I mean, even outside of the 2 goals within just seconds of each other. They had a lot of really good puck work, but they weren't the hot team during this series. So I'm interested to see what happens with them going into the finals. One of the things I think that they do have to be aware of is when you look at just Game 7, they benefited from a lot of very nifty goals. You think of Hossa with the goal off his skate and stuff like that, and finding room around Anderson. That a lot of those opportunities kind of go away. Those go away when you have Bishop between the pipes. So I don't really know what to expect from Chicago. Are we going to see what we saw, Game 2 against Anaheim in triple overtime? Are we going to see what they did in Game 7, or are we going to see what we saw in between, where they looked, I don't want to say flat, but just not a dominant force, really?
Definitely. AJ, we'll go with you. You were one of the ones that
So no respect at all. Okay, go ahead.
Your thoughts
these things are so tight. How do you guys wear these things all the time? Good grief.
I'm telling you, right? I've been begging to ask you this, Shalana. Are you wearing the necklace tie underneath?
No, I'm not wearing it. I should be, huh?
Oh, how dare you!
I went for the real McCoy today, you guys. Like, I have I snagged this tie, legit gentleman's tie. I'm a sucker for a pink tie. I will steal it off a guy if I will. So.
I get it. 50 Shades.
Away from tie 99 then.
Yeah. we understand. 50 Shades. It's all good.
Wow.
Oh, 50 Shades is stupid.
And now, all right,
girl.
So you're asking for the picks after we do our
yes, we're gonna talk about Chicago, then Tampa, then we'll expose our picks. Which, by the way,
okay,
you need to answer that DM I just sent you.
So, I look at it. I'm not surprised Chicago's where they're at in the least. I actually thought that the Predator. I kind of expected the Predators actually to give them about what they got. I think a lot of people thought that the Predators were going to give Chicago a little more of a challenge because of home ice. But as we've seen in the third round, it's clearly home ice disadvantage, especially if you're playing Game 7. But the Predators series kind of went just about the way that I thought. For the second round with the Wild, I didn't think that the Wild would get swept. I thought they would at least win one. I thought Dubnyk would be able to pull one out, even if the team was not really killing it. That was about that. But I think Shalana said something about the Hawks. She thought the Hawks would dominate the Ducks in that third round.
Maybe dominate the Ducks isn't right, but I thought they themselves would look better than they did for the majority of that.
Okay, so apparently Shalana thought the Hawks would 50 Shades of Grey the Ducks, and instead they just 9.5 weaked them. So
this is worse. This is worse than the Spice Girls thing, AJ. This is worse.
At least they didn't fatal attract them.
There you go. There you go. See? So honestly, I mean, going into it, I'm pretty sure if I didn't say that the Hawks, no, let's go with the Hawks Docs. I like that better. I thought the Hawks.
Oh God, let's get Mike Emmerich in here now.
Yeah, hold on. Excuse me. Hold on. Let me open another one of these, and I'll be right back. I thought the Hawks and the Ducks would go 7, if I remember correctly. But I was in the Hawks' corner until that first game, and Anaheim played a really heavy game in Game 1 of that third round matchup. I'm a little surprised after watching the first game that the Ducks weren't able to pull it out. But you can't count out that defense. I mean, Keith, Seabrook, Hammer, those guys, man. They what's that line from Mystery Alaska? Something about bringing a big bag of knuckles and something or other that the Austin Powers guy, what's his name, Mike something?
Mike Myers.
Yeah, he says something about bringing a big bag of knuckles. Either way, Anaheim brought it early on, and then they just couldn't finish it.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised that Anaheim didn't give them a nice run in Game 7. That how it just fell apart for Anaheim. I mean, 4-0 in the second period before they even got a chance at it, which was really stunning, because I thought at home, even if you want to say that Anaheim probably has the least bit of home ice advantage, because it really did sound like there was a ton of Hawks fans in there taking over. I thought the Ducks would have given a lot more of a run in Game 7. We shall move on. I'm sorry. I don't know how to specifically say anything. I guess, Mr. Ties, your thoughts on the Hawks?
That's right. That's Mr. T to you. I pity the fool that don't include us in the Google Hangout.
Oh, God.
You knew it was coming. Wow. You had to know it was coming.
Your thoughts on the Hawks? I
was actually a bit surprised after losing Roosevelt that the Hawks were able to maintain that defensive structure the way they were, because that bottom pairing really took a nosedive, and I don't know what the reason is for Tiemanen's lack of ice time, whether he's not a right fit for what Quenneville's playing or what have you. I was actually I guess I shouldn't be, because they're not human, if you take the Kessler quote literally about them being able to, they're human, they're going to take punishment. Clearly, Seabrook and Keith are not human. Fruit and crap. If anybody remembers the infamous quote after the triple overtime game when they won, what kept you guys energized? It was fruit and crap. So they've clearly got the right leadership up front. They've clearly got the horses in the back. Whatever doubts anybody had about Crawford going in when Darling was starting were pretty much done and dusted after that second round. So I'm disappointed. I will say personally, me, not the entire office or us as an entity, I'm personally disappointed that the Predators didn't give them a little bit more of a fight, but it's the first time the Preds have really had a a good solid team around him. So we'll see what they do next year.
Yeah, definitely. I thought Nashville really would have given them a run for the money, for sure. But let's now let's see. My thing is all acting wonky now. All right, there we go.
That
Now,
sounds like a personal problem.
oh, shut up. Road to the Cup for the Tampa Bay Lightning. They almost won the Atlantic Division, but lost it to Montreal on the last day of the season. They beat the Red Wings in 7 games. That was a good, hard-fought series. I think all of us, except for maybe me, I think, picked Tampa. I forget our predictions from earlier, but Tampa took care of everybody's favorite out of the East in 6, and then the other favorite, they took out the Rangers in 7. They are the first team to beat 3 original 6 teams in the playoffs and a chance to go for the unprecedented 4th. They will be going for their 2nd cup in 11 years, and this is for a franchise that is younger than the San Jose Sharks. Shalana, I will start with you. For Tampa Bay, you knew they were slowly but surely coming on, but this is semi-unexpected, and do we think, let's be honest here, is there a shot for them to win this?
Honestly, when you look at finals in any sport, and you talk about, a team that has playoff experience, a team that got hot at the right moment. Tampa Bay got hot at the right moment. I'll be the first to admit I didn't see them getting this far. Really enjoyed the series against the Red Wings, and wasn't sure if they were going to be able to pull it off against Montreal. When they did, and watching them go up against New York, I was like, New York has it. And then was it the game 2 that they just blew the Rangers out? Was it 2 or 3?
It was maybe 2. It was 2.
2. And then I kind of had to sit back for a second. They're a hot young team, and they're firing on a bunch of different cylinders. That line with Palat and Kucherov, they just continue to impress me every single game. They just have so many things clicking at just the right time, and while New York had been my pick to go to the finals, and I do remember that, I'm not totally disappointed. The Lightning are fun to watch right now, so I think it's going to be an interesting series against Chicago.
AJ?
Oh, Tampa Bay, you ignorant sluts. You've pissed me off this entire series. It's like every time I picked a guy, I took Montreal, I took New York, and you guys keep screwing me. I don't know, those damn not the twins, the triplets. Those damn triplets keep pulling things out of their ass. I don't know what it is. We've seen I don't know. I think one of the stories about Tampa this season, or at least this playoffs, has been how inconsistent the defense and Bishop has been in certain games. One game they show up, the other game they're just nowhere to be found. But I got to tell you, I'm still a little pissed about them beating New York on New York ice. After when you look at the record that New York had, I'm dumbfounded, and everybody knows how much.
I want to say that they were 7-0. They're 7. I want to say going in New York was 7-0 in Game 7s on home ice, or something like that. They were undefeated on home ice in Game 7s.
They were 7-0 undefeated in the entire history at MSG in Game 7s. I'm sorry, games 7.
Oh, yes.
But you know what, though? See, that was the whole thing. They clearly were missing Messier to guarantee it. Yeah, I'm still a little ticked off about that.
AJ, that was the 6th game he guaranteed the win.
You know what? It still would have made a difference, man. It still would have been there. It would have made the difference.
No, you know what they were missing was Stephon Matteau. Totally. Mr. Ties, your thoughts on Tampa Bay?
I will freely admit personally that I am just as flummoxed as everybody else at how Tampa made it this far, but then watching them play, I can completely see why they made it this far. Yes, they do have a tendency to lose their mind, so to speak, every once in a while, and they throw in those bad games. But the fact that they've been able to put that game behind them and come out and tear a strip off somebody in the next game tells me more about that team going forward. Oh, please don't do that. You got gull wing and you've got some nasty things going on, Eric. That's just awful. You didn't just finish a 3 a.m. set at the Sands. Your name is not Sinatra. Okay?
I was just letting my neck
Yeah.
go.
It's funny he says that because I was about to go full on Dean Martin, but I digress. Go ahead.
Until you get the highball glass out, you're not full on Dean Martin.
Boy. Anyways, keep going.
Easily enough, Tampa's back end is actually very impressive. Hedman's really stepped up.
I'm sure it is.
Hi-yo.
Oh God, you guys, this is after dark. And the triplets are not to be underestimated, I think, going forward. So it did not surprise me they beat New York. It did not surprise me they beat Montreal, but those were two series that literally could have gone either way with some bounces the other way. So
yeah,
I mean, you ask most people just based on the goalie position if you want Bishop or Price or Bishop or Lundqvist. There's going to be the majority is going to be pretty heavy on Lundqvist or Price over Bishop because, as we know, most guys like to beat the Bishop.
Oh, God.
Come on, I'm waiting, Eric. I'm waiting. There you go. Okay, so now is it on to picks?
We now move on to the picks. The picks are, you must pick the team, you must pick how many games, and while you're at it, pick your Conn Smythe Trophy winner.
I have to pick my seat, too?
I'm sorry?
Do I have to pick my seat?
No.
Can I pick my friends?
Yes. So, NHL ties, you go first.
The guests go first?
Yes.
Well, we're split in the headquarters here. I will tell everybody that outright. We are split in the headquarters. I am going with Tampa in 6. I think that youth and exuberance is going to carry them through. I think Chicago is going to give them a hell of a run on the money. The dividing line is the X factors between the two midgets, Kane and Johnson, and I think I'm not going to knock on wood. I think Johnson's got another couple big games left in him. So, and if he does, Tampa will take it in 6, and I think there's my Conn Smythe pick. The CEO, who is always right because she's my wife, is actually going Chicago in 7.
And you should also point out, Eric, who has home ice in this as well.
Yes, Tampa does have home ice.
Yeah, and if Chicago wins, she's going with Taves because that 2 goals the 2 goals with the goalie pulled, just pretty much said, "Hi, I'm Jonathan Taves. I'm here. I may have lifeless doll eyes like a shark, and that's why I'm just a monstrous eating machine."
Wow. All right, Shalana, your pick, so I can put it in the graphic.
Well, since it has been discussed before that myself and the NHL Tie CEO see eye to eye on quite a few things, I am also going with Chicago in 7. I think it's going to be a really long, drawn-out series, but I think Chicago will end up having getting the cup in the end, and I'm going with Duncan Keith as my Conn Smythe winner.
Excellent.
Fruit and crap.
AJ, your thoughts? Chicago, Tampa Bay.
For me, I'm going with Chicago simply based on 2 in the last 5. They've got the experience. I think Chicago has the better defense, and it also comes down to a case of just less games played. I mean, Chicago have a series where they swept a team, whereas Tampa Bay they've played 20 out of a possible 21 games. So
are you counting overtimes, AJ?
Oh shit, that's a good fucking point. God damn it.
Because I think Chicago just played a 12-game series.
Yeah, that is true. Didn't Chicago just have a game that was like the longest in Blackhawks franchise history?
Triple overtime.
Freaking headbutted. All sorts of crazy stuff was happening.
Oh, shit. That's a good point.
Fruit and crap.
Yeah, see, you know what? I'm still going Chicago, and I'm going Chicago in 6. I think the experience will be more beneficial, and that's what's going to make the difference, even with Tampa having home ice. I think if Chicago just splits one of those first 2 games, I think they can pull it off the rest of the way, and that'll give them a boatload of confidence. For my Conn Smythe, I know that the trendy pick is to go with Kane or Taze or Keith, and I lamented. I thought about going, it's probably going to be Keith, but I'm going off the board, and I'm going with a friend of mine on Twitter who had one of the coolest memes ever, and I'm going to say bow before Zod.
Kneel before Sod, yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, kneel before Zod. Sorry, it's been a long time since I've seen that movie. Give me a break.
Oh boy. and then there was me. This series could go either way. It's gonna have some overtimes. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Everybody's gonna probably jump on the Chicago bandwagon mainly because they've done it twice before in the last 5 years, which I can't blame them. However, who's the better solid goalie right now? Bishop or Crawford? Right now, I gotta say Bishop, with a strong defense behind him, that they will rule all 3 defensive units. I mean, there's only a matter of time when you can only go with 2 defensive pairings in the Stanley Cup final.
But we've established that Keith and Seabrook aren't human.
Right. Absolutely. That being said, I'm going to go with Tampa Bay in 7 games, and don't be surprised. I'm going to call this here. If we have, for the first time in a very long time, if Game 7 were to go into overtime. I mean, what kind of epic crap would that be if the Cup final were to go into an overtime Game 7?
At the very least, it would help the ratings.
That and my goodness!
And fruit and crap sales in the greater Tampa area.
That's right.
And that you have to know that New York losing Game 7 while Chicago went. How pissed off is the NHL? They could have had a number 1 media market versus the number 3, and instead they ended up with Tampa frickin' Bay.
Well, the one thing that you noticed, I think it was for both Game 7s, or both 7th games, or whatever you want to call it, whatever proper grammar it is.
Games 7.
Sure, whatever.
Incorrect.
Both original.
I'm still going with it.
Oh my gosh! Both original 6 teams had a total of 2 minor penalties, which made me wonder if the NHL is trying to get into the get their dream series of New York Chicago, but instead everybody was so. Forgive me, guys. I found a Mike Emmerich soundboard. I just wish it had my goodness on it.
Tell me it has waffle boarded or knifed.
It has
waffle boarded is on there.
Waffle boarded is on there? I don't see waffle boarded. I see
shuffle boarded.
You're looking at a different one then. Waffle board. There are a few of them, and our favorite has waffle boarded.
Gives it. Flip it. One-handed it.
You know what this sounds like? I don't know if any of you, if the 3 of you are aware, but whatever it was, say 6, 7, 8 years ago or something, there was an app that went around on the phone that it was I don't know if it was like a Daft Punk app or something, where it was that harder, stronger, faster, whatever, and it was all those sounds that work. It makes it hard, it's stronger, but all that shit. And it's the same. It sounds like the exact same
That's not like
you
that
have.
I would have on my phone, dude.
Slaughter it.
That sounds like something I'd have as my ringtone.
Throwing it.
All right, Eric, I'm begging you, man. Turn that shit off.
Right, I'm
so,
sorry.
I'm not annoyed by real life Emmerich. You have to do that.
But part of the reason why I picked Tampa is I have a dear place in my heart for my first hockey crush, Manuel Realm. I mean, heart eye emoji like crazy. And,
Oh shit! Wow, this fucking show just took a left turn. Good job, Eric.
all right. Anyways, a recap of our picks. It's kind of a three-way tie. I just got a message. Chris JWS will be on 5 minutes.
Chris JWS will be on in 5 minutes. Is that what you just said?
Yes.
He's going to be on by himself.
Well, I'll just go with him. Anybody who wants to drop off can drop off. Anyways, here are our picks.
I think you should bail through this. We get Shalane and NHL ties out of here, and then let Chris join, and we'll just go, dude, you so missed it.
Oh, I'm sure you watched most of it too.
That was the best Pucknology After Dark ever.
Ever.
I mean, it was so epic. Brody would be jealous. That's right.
Don't you remember Brody's cameo when he jumped on for a couple minutes and we totally got into talking about ties?
Oh man, we got to do that. We totally got to do that.
And then when Randy called us, just to say hi.
No, Bakes is more realistic. All right, so here are our picks. For the Hawks, we have AJ going in 6. The CEO of NHL Ties, along with Shalana, picked 7 games for the Hawks. As for Tampa, we have breaking news.
What do you have?
Chris.
Sorry, guys.
You're here just in time for us to say the goodbyes. Thanks for coming out.
Try the veal, tip your waitress.
Muted, bud.
Yeah, dude, you're muted, dumbass.
Good.
I said I'm here to make fun of Eric because I'm assuming you guys probably didn't do it often enough. So.
Oh wow! What the hell?
Well, I mean, we could make fun of you.
Something AOL connection.
No, could actually.
Oh,
I think
really?
we all need to make fun of Chris.
Yeah, well, connection. Talk to 2 of the other people on this show.
I think we need to make fun of Chris for not bringing the fucking tie game, dude.
Yeah, dude, what happened?
I've been busy, man.
Yeah, glad that.
Apartment hunting is a bitch, okay?
Well, if you wore a tie when you're apartment hunting, people might, actually look at your lease options and say, "We'll give you $50 off."
Not bad advice.
Oh God. Oh.
Right,
Anyways,
finish the picks.
For Tampa Bay, Chris JWS with 6. NHL Ties, 6. Yours truly 7 in overtime. By the way, my MVP would be Ben Bishop. Oh boy. All right.
The final thing we do have to say though is, doesn't NHL Ties sound like he should be working in radio? Dude has a very smooth voice. We need to get him to do the intro of our show once we actually get a little bit more production value going. But his voice, we all need to get whatever microphone he is using or auto tune or something. But NHL Ties has that very smooth delivery, the very smooth voice. You got that going, guys.
Good evening, everybody. It's 28 after the hour of 8. 2 minutes before 8:30. It's drive time. Right here on Pucknology After Dark. Coming at you live.
I thought my radio voice was smooth. That's nice.
It's a very smooth radio voice. I could hear him doing traffic and weather on just about any station in Canada.
We're up here. There's a couple of cattle overturned here on the 401.
I was going to say, AJ, you're not going to try to put Dan Dibley out of a job. I mean, just make him just do Uber or what?
Oh.
Okay, so good day here. Good day here, eh? You know, so like we're up here in Saskatchewan traffic. You know.
No,
Oh, you know what though? We before we finish this up, we haven't gotten the final judging on my or Puck Guy or Shalena's ties.
Based on where you're all right now, train wreck.
wow. Thanks.
See, this is why I didn't even try.
Good man, Chris. Good man. Sometimes the only winning move is not to play.
But seriously, let's look at this, and let's also talk about. I've done this to.
I mean, come on, what the hell, man? This is not too shabby.
Ties.
Well, I didn't hear the camera click, so I guess he said
No, you didn't. I've got the screenshots already.
Oh yeah, too late now.
Serendipitously.
I will look for the Telestrator tweets later.
Tylustrator.
Oh my
thank you very much.
Oh, I'm sorry, Telestrator.
My goodness.
Get it right, AJ.
We're a wreck. All right, I see how it is. Yeah, usually I've tried to do this before with NHL ties, especially with the Stadium series, and refresh me on who that character is that you kept posting a picture of to me and just having me like.
Oh, I honestly. Okay, I'm gonna feign my age. I don't remember.
Remember?
You got to give it to him because that was a very forgettable game.
There was a game that day.
Wow. Oh, here we go. It was this guy.
Captain Zepp Brannigan, the Zepper.
Yes. Every time I try to do a tie, I got that bleeping face.
You got Captain Zepp Brannigan, the Zepper.
So, all right.
Interesting note, that character from Futurama was intended to be voiced by Phil Hartman. But he unfortunately...
Really?
Yeah.
You have a radio voice.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because of the whole Troy... Hi, I'm Troy McClure. You may remember me from such educational films as... Yes, they had intentionally written that character for a Phil Hartman type, and unfortunately Phil was killed prior to production starting. So,
see, I've always preferred Patrick Warburton on Family Guy. Love Patrick's voiceovers.
You mean Putty?
Yes, Putty.
Yeah.
Who was the Tick? Did you guys ever see that? That was on for like 2 episodes.
And we can go completely off the rails here and say that Dustin Tokarski, the backup goaltender from Montreal, has a graphic of the Tick on his mask.
Holy shit, that's good knowledge right there.
I bring everything together.
Good knowledge.
There we go.
That's a way to circle that. That's the circle of life, man. Just great callback.
Thousand Leaves of Light. Stay the course.
It's 8:32, 32 past the hour of 8.
Coming up next, traffic and weather together on Mix 106.5.
First shot A.
Hope you have a pillow handy.
Whoa. I don't want to know.
All right,
Anyways,
let's
thoughts.
wrap this up, kids.
Well, let's go with Shalena first because, wow. Okay, Shalena, go first, my dear.
What am I going first for?
Final thoughts? Anything
Ladies
you
first.
want to add on? You want to promote BayAreaSportsGuy.com or anything like that?
I think you just did it for me.
Would you rather have it done professionally?
Oh, sorry. Excuse me.
Oh, no, I think NHL Ties should do this.
BayAreaSportsGuy.com.
NHL Ties should-
AreaSportsGuy.com.
Why aren't you in radio? Holy
This
crap.
is what I'm saying, man. He's got a great timber for it.
Watch out, Randy Hahn.
If you're not in radio, you should be. You should be putting together air checks as we speak.
And so, AJ, your final thoughts?
My final thought is I'm not going to ask because I don't think it's anybody's business. But I don't know, and I'm not going to ask NHL Ties to volunteer the information. I don't know where NHL Ties is based out of, but they should listen to TSN 1040 because you listen to NHL Ty's voice, his voice would put Jeff Patterson out of a job. Because Jeff Patterson's voice, NHL's Ty voice is much better. Final thoughts, go Chicago, and bye-bye Niemi. We'll see you later, July 1st. I hope we get something for you, and I'm really interested to see what the hell happens with the Sharks come July 1st. Which may be, are we having another get-together before July 1st? Are we going to do one to wrap up the Stanley Cup Finals and then, or are we just going to wait until July 1st?
We will wing it. I think if we want to do a draft special, we can, and then go predictions for NHL awards. I don't know. We can do that for sure.
Can I offer a prediction now? I'm thinking Connor McDavid might go first. I'm just putting that out there.
What? I thought he was going to drop down to the Leafs at number 3. Wow. That is a bold prediction.
Sign Leafs fans everywhere.
Right. Chris, good evening to you. Your thoughts?
Opening thoughts and final predictions. Go ahead.
Well, I think you had my prediction up on the graphic, but I picked Tampa in 6 just because I already got burned twice picking against them, so I'm not going to make that mistake one more time. But don't have many final thoughts because I've been running around all day. Yay, apartment hunting. So yeah, I'll let you guys go.
All right. And Mr. Ties, your final thoughts?
Mr. T.
Hi, Chris.
Hello. Nice to meet the guy behind the Twitter account.
There's more than one of us. Let's
okay.
The
persons, because I don't want to be sexist.
Well, okay. There are more than one persons that are involved in this account. I just happen to be the one they shove in front of people to do talking.
Can't you hear that voice? He's clearly the spokesperson.
Yeah, with that voice, I can't blame them for making you be up front.
Right.
Mostly because nobody understands dog, so because she is clearly the best looking out of all of us in here, so.
And don't bring up dogs while I'm on here. Don't make me bust out Dog Wilson.
Don't start him. Don't start, because then he's gonna have me try to talk to a doggy face, you motherfucker. All right.
You won't be able to talk. You'll be too busy cracking up.
With that, I will bring up something I meant to bring up before for my final thoughts. And here is a special list. This is page 1 of 2 of players who have worn the San Jose Sharks Pacific Teal or Deep Pacific Teal. You go through this list. You have Lawler, Maley, Hunter, Vernon, Suter, Graves, Airy. Yes, Todd Ewan has won a Stanley Cup. Let that sink in a little bit. Vinny Domfus, Stefan Matteau, Terreri, John McClain, Bill Guerin, that bastard. Ozo, which made that championship in '96, still bitter to own on to this day. Larionov is the only former Shark to win 3 cups and is pretty much the inaugurator of what we call now the post-Teal syndrome. That goaltender that won in Dallas, even though should be still no goal. Oh God, Chris. Sutton, who was barely used, won a title, and then there was Colin White.
Aren't you missing a name?
There's page 2.
Ah, there you go. Okay, that's what I was looking for.
Rob Lake, along with Ville Nieminen in 2001. Jeff Friesen. Boy, did that trade work out well for the Sharks with Teemu Selanne in 2003. Dan Motherpuckin Boyle in 2004 with his buddy Lukowicz won the Lightning. They're currently their only Stanley Cup. The boy, the man, the legend, Ray Whitney won it with Wallin and Sharks broadcaster Brett Hedican of Carolina. Thank you. Teemu, along with Travis Moan and Kent Huskins, and probably the other worst trade in franchise history. That might be tied with the Jamie McGinn one or the Mika Kiprusoff one. 2008, you have Stewie, Mikhail Samuelson, who was here for a brief time. Tyler Kennedy won with Guerin in '09 with the Penguins. And then the Chicago list. 2010, Burrish, Niemi, Ben Eager, remember him? Soupy, Spinorama his way out of here and won a cup with the Hawks in 2010. And then in 2013, Mayers, now Ben Smith, and the other guy that really coined the post-heel syndrome, Michael Hanzus. That is your list of every shark that has won a cup. And again, Larionov won 3 times, the only former Shark to win 3. They get good players. They just don't play like champions here? I don't know. It's been a lot of fun. I know a lot of people are jumping off the hockey lately, mainly because of a certain basketball team that's playing in the Bay Area. We do want to send
The
our
Kings?
The what?
Yes, the Kings. Kings, right?
No, not the Sacramento Kings. Not the Sacramento Kings. Although I wish they got hosed in Game 7 in 2002 against the Lakers.
The Golden
But,
Seals?
Actually, technically, it was Game 6, not Game 7. They got hosed in.
Both. David Stern looking at you. But Golden State Warriors, they kick off the NBA Finals on alternate nights when the Stanley Cup Final isn't playing. So go Warriors. Let's hope for a great series. I would love for my prediction to go right with 7 games in overtime for Game 7. With that, let's wrap it up. For AJ Strong, Chris JWS, yes, even Dodge Wilson.
Much dogs, so wow.
So mutual, very departure.
Oh, boy. Shalana Goldman, thank you as always. You are welcome to join us anytime, as well as you, NHL Ties. This has been awesome and epic. We will have you back, sometime in the very near future.
Aren't you going to thank Brody and Randy for dropping by?
Oh, that's right. Yes, Chris, you missed out. Brody came by really quickly. We were talking about the Game Award auction. Apparently, he's going to give out his infamous Easter tie for the Game Award auction. And then Randy, called, and I put it on the speakerphone. It was amazing. So we'll thank all of them. So Brody, Randy, thank you so much. You are awesome.
Apologies to Drew Remendo. We ran out of time. We'll get you on next time.
Right. He'll totally be on
Drew
social.
got bumped, just so many VIPs.
Right.
Have Jack and his dancing bears on later too, right?
Oh God, no dancing bears. For all of us here, thank you so much. Make sure you please subscribe down below. Of course, we always appreciate it. Until next time, keep it real, keep it fresh, keep it real fresh. Chris?
Peace the puck out.